Hi everybody, welcome to this Wall Street News. The US Bureau of Economic Analysis reported Wednesday that real gross domestic product rose at an annual rate of 3% in the second quarter 2025. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell delivered remarks after the FOMC meeting on Wednesday and said, quote, "At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 4.25 to 4.5% and to continue reducing the size of our balance sheet." In response to a question about the September cut, Jerome Powell added, quote, "We have made no decisions about September. We don't do that in advance." 10-year Treasury yield rises to 4.36% after the FOMC press conference. For the US stocks, the S&P 500 fell 0.12% and the Nasdaq Composite added 0.15% Wednesday. On Wednesday after the bell, Meta Platforms announced financial results for the second quarter ended June 30th, and the company expects Q3 revenue to rise 3% sequentially. The US Bureau of Economic Analysis reported Wednesday that real gross domestic product rose at an annual rate of 3% in the second quarter 2025 compared to the first quarter. The consumer spending and imports contributed 0.98% and 5.18% increase respectively to the GDP growth, while investment and exports decreased 3.09% and 0.19% respectively for the Q2 GDP growth. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell delivered remarks after the FOMC meeting on Wednesday and said, quote, "At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 4.25 to 4.5% and to continue reducing the size of our balance sheet." When it comes to the tariffs, he added, quote, "A reasonable base case is that the effects on inflation could be short-lived, reflecting a one-time shift in the price level. But it is also possible that the inflationary effects could instead be more persistent, and it is a risk to be assessed and managed." In response to a question about the September cut, Jerome Powell said, quote, "We will get 2 full rounds of employment and inflation data before the time of the September meeting. We have made no decisions about September. We don't do that in advance. We'll be taking that information into consideration." 10-year Treasury yield rose as the US economy grew at an annual rate of 3% in Q2, and it moved up again after Jerome Powell didn't indicate the September cut. For the US stocks, the S&P 500 fell 0.12% and the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 0.38%, but the tech-heavy Nasdaq added 0.15%. On Wednesday after the bell, Meta Platforms announced financial results for the second quarter ended June 30th. The company reported second quarter revenue of $47.5 billion, up 12% sequentially, above its previously estimated revenue of the midpoint of $44 billion. Operating income increased 16% from $17.6 billion in Q1 to $20.4 billion in Q2. When it comes to the guidance, the company expects Q3 revenue to be between $47.5 billion and $50.5 $5 billion, the midpoint of $49 billion, up 3% quarter over quarter. Shares on Meta platforms popped about 11% in extended trading on Wednesday. Meta CFO Susan Lee said during the conference call, quote, "We currently expect 2025 capital expenditures, including principal payments on financial leases, to be in the range of $66 billion to $72 billion, narrowed from our prior outlook of $64 billion to $72 billion, and up approximately $30 billion year over year at the midpoint." Okay, this is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.